Yeah, hello. I'm in Frankfurt. Today is the last day of the Experts Conference, and I met Didier
Van Hoye.
Van Hoye. I know Didier from Twitter. He is working hard in IT.
My handle.
And he is specialized one of his specializations is networking, especially 10 gigabits. Maybe you tell us something about yourself, Didier.
Okay, so my name is Didier. Let's start with that one. I live in Belgium and I have the lucky charm to be working for an agency that provides geographical information services for the government, and they have rather large needs in storage space, computing power, but also bandwidth. So that gives me the opportunity to work with some very nice material to try and achieve what they need, but still without going overboard on the cost factor.
Okay.
So, and we get pretty decent results with, let's say, standardly available hardware, and you can do a lot with that. There's one golden rule: don't oversubscribe. If you really want performance, don't oversubscribe. And if you start you oversubscribe and you really need a performance, you might want to look into going the next step. You might buy better servers, faster storage. But for the network, you might start looking into 10 gigabits, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you wrote some nice articles about 10 gigabit and especially Hyper-V and 10 gigabit. Yeah. So maybe you tell us something about that.
Okay. So the virtualization environment we're using is Hyper-V. And we have a lot of application servers virtualized, also SQL Server and other nodes that have rather large memory needs.
Okay.
And that meant that as the virtualization, the guest density on the hosts rises and rises, it takes a longer time to live migrate all the nodes, all the guests to another node.
Okay.
And after a while, that became a bit too long for our operational needs. And then there was the question, what are we going to do about it? So we thought, let's take a look at 10 gigabit. And we got the budget for some gear, and we started playing and experimented with it. And we actually were very, very pleased with the results.
Okay.
We were that pleased that we're really thinking about bringing everything we have in our clusters to 10 gigabit. Right.
Okay, maybe you talk a little bit about the surprising results. What do you find out?
Well, for examples, a live migration from one guest that used to take 5 minutes is now done in under 1 minute.
Okay.
And if you're talking about 20, 30, 40 guests, that adds up. Another very nice surprise is we used to have multiple NICs for the guests. To spread the load, not only the risk but also the load. Well, now we have one pair of teamed 10 gigabit network ports for all the guests, and you still have more bandwidth than you ever had with 4 or 5 individual 1 gigabit ports. So that's also a very nice thing, because you can reduce the cabling a little.
Okay, I understand that, but you also said on your blog, or you invested a lot of time. I think you don't get the 10 gigabits out of the 10 gigabits cards.
Yes.
What was that?
Well, there's a couple of issues. One of the issues is the fact that 10 gigabits can deliver so much throughput to the processor that they can't handle it anymore. So then we come into what you talked about this morning in your session. All the advanced networking features you can try to exploit to get more throughput, to get better performance. That's one part of the story, and you've addressed that already. The other part of the story is that actually all the power saving settings and all the advanced features you have in the BIOS for CPU settings, like that it can go to sleep, that it can shut down, hibernate, that it can use to reduce energy consumption, is actually taking away the performance from your 10 gigabit network cards.
Okay.
So to give you an example, you'll never get over 15 to 20% if you don't address that issue.
Okay.
And if you do address it, which means that you actually disable all those advanced sessions, that's the C state, the C1E state in the BIOS. If you do that, you can go to 65, 70% of bandwidth use versus 20 or 16, 15%. That makes a huge difference.
That's right. But you addressed my presentation, but the viewer aren't there. So maybe you told our viewers some of these networking benefits you have in the cards.
Okay, well, you have many. So you have TCP/IP chimney, you have the entire offload engine suite, I might call it, because it's not just one single thing, it's a lot of things. Most people already know that from the 1 gigabit cards, but the processors have gotten that fast and that good that they outperform the 1 gigabit cards. So the performance benefits you gain by using them on 1 gigabit isn't that big anymore. Yeah. But now you throw in a 10 gigabit card, and all of a sudden the bandwidth of your network card outperforms your processor again. So these advanced features, they come back onto the scene, combined with new features like the VMQD we were talking about, the fact that you can offload some of the filtering and the processing of virtual machine traffic to the hardware in the network card. Yeah. That helps a lot if you have issues on the host, because the processor on the host can't handle all the network traffic anymore. So you offload some of that processing to the network card. Yeah. And with 10 gigabit, it becomes, again, a lot more important than it used to be with 1 gigabit. Because
would you say it is a need to use the offload capabilities of the network card? Otherwise, you have no cycles in the CPU left, or how high could the cycles go, or the processor usage? Have you experience with that?
We've experimented with it, and it depends upon the kind of traffic. Yeah. If you like using 10 gigabit for the live migration traffic, you don't really need to fine-tune it that much. If you use jumbo frames, if you disable all the energy saving settings, the advanced states of your CPU, you're going to get an enormous amount of throughput, and you can leave it at that. Okay. Right? You're fine. But for more advanced usages, like let's say you have 20 file servers with very high incoming traffic to those file servers, and you virtualize them, then you might see that your processors can't follow the bandwidth need, and you max out at 3 gigabits, around 3 gigabits. So then what are you going to do? And that's where VMQD can come into play to assist, and then you can see that you can get to 5, 6, 7, 8 gigabits of bandwidth use. But then you need those advanced technologies. Yeah. So you're always going to have a benefit of having bigger pipes. It's like with switches. If you have switches, you can create lag groups, 2, 4, even 8 ports combined in a lag group. But even if you do that, it's never as good as one single 10 gigabit port.
Of course.
And that's the same on a server. You're never gonna get the same performance from advanced technologies and combining smaller pipes as you get from one big pipe. And the one big pipe means that your processor is getting into trouble again, because he can't deliver the performance you need to use all of the bandwidth, and then the advanced features help you again.
Mm-hmm. So as a resume, you would say 10 gigabit yes, absolutely. But look into the options and tune it. You have also had some problems with options. You told me about that. Maybe there was a bug with blue screen in some cases.
That's not related to the 10 gigabit, actually. That was not a bug. We've had a bug with live migrating on this certain scenarios with dynamic disks. Yeah. We thought it might have been related to some of the advanced network settings, but at the moment Microsoft is looking into it, and it doesn't seem to have anything to do with the 10 gigabit.
It doesn't seem to be that, but there are other issues. If you experimented with these advanced features, everything has to be the newest drivers.
Yes, that's almost a mantra. You know, always check out the latest drivers, because network drivers and firmware, they do have bugs. So if you run into an issue you can't explain, it's always good to have a look. Is there a fix for this, or is there a new version I can try? So I would always advise, when you get the gear in, just go to the vendor site, download the latest firmware for the switch, the latest firmware for the NIC, and the latest drivers for the NIC, and start from there. That can save you a lot of headaches. Okay. And then you need to start testing and tweaking. Build it up test it, break it down, build it up again, perhaps in a different order. I'll give you an example. If you want to use VMQD, you want to combine that with NIC teaming, first build the team, and then enable VMQD. Sorry. So you have to be a bit careful sometimes. The order might be important. Also, recommendations change very fast. If you look at the white papers on the advanced networking features in Windows 2008 R2, you'll find some recommendations that you first need to create certain registry keys for VMQ. But in the end, with the latest drivers, Intel creates them all for you and everything is fine. But a couple of versions before that, if you didn't know that and you enabled it before you made that registry key, things wouldn't work, or you would have to tear it all down again and start again. So you do have to be careful. And as always, before you take it in production, test.
Okay.
Don't assume anything. Just test it. Yeah.
Okay. There is a new version on the horizon of Windows Server, and there is something I think very excited built in.
Oh, yes.
What do you think? And what is the feature?
I think there are a zillion exciting features built into the new product, but one of them, of course, must be the native support in Windows for NIC teaming.
Yes.
There are a lot of scenarios that people run into with NIC teaming, with driver issues or specific issues between a certain brand of NIC with a certain brand of driver in combination with virtualization, Hyper-V. So while it can be very useful and and you can achieve very nice results, in my experience, a lot of people also have a lot of problems with it. So that's not very good. It's not a very good first-time experience if you spend a week trying to hunt down some small problem or bug that keeps you from moving ahead. And the second thing that's problematic for a lot of people is Microsoft doesn't support NIC teaming at the moment. So the mantra is, well, NIC teaming, it's vendor supported. Now, in reality, they are not very strict with that. If you have a problem with NIC teaming, they're not going to tell you to take a hike. They're going to try and help you. But in the end, if they can't figure it out, they'll tell you, take away NIC teaming and see if it works. And then the story ends, because then they've proven, it works, but it's the NIC teaming that's causing the problem. But now it's in Windows, in the future version of Windows. And it works. I've tested it in the lab, and it's very nice. So, hey, look, now we have NIC teaming supported by Microsoft, multi-vendor NICs, combinations of NICs. It looks very promising.
Different speeds,
which might not always be the best idea to do, of course. But you can. It looks very promising, and I think a lot of people will be relieved that it's become a lot easier, because it's not that difficult to do.
And nowadays it is very difficult to find the right settings, and you have to test it very heavy.
There are so many differences between the types of NICs, the drivers, if you have this type of switch and you need stackable switches for this type of configuration, you need X or Y for the other one. So you have a lot of permutations that come into play, and all these combinations can cause a lot of problems by themselves. So it's always a bit of a almost a challenge. Yeah, it's like the wizard training, right? You add a little bit, you tweak a little bit, you can make it work. You have to get a little bit of feeling for it. But all these terms like feeling, tricks, tweaking, it doesn't sound very scientific, does it? It's it's.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So. We see you have a lot of knowledge in this area. I know you are presenting at an event, and please tell our viewers where are you presenting and where can they read more of your stuff.
Okay. In November, I think it's the 18th of November, the Saturday, or the 19th.
18, 19, 20th.
Yeah. Okay, so it's the 19th of November, probably. I'll be presenting at the Experts Conferenz in London.
Yeah.
It used to be called Pub Forum, and it's a virtualization conference actually by people who work in virtualization themselves. So it's not really a vendor-based conference. It's people who actually do the work, have the experience, who present to each other and share their experience. Yeah. So that makes for a very nice and smaller scale conference where there's a lot of interaction between the people. So that will be nice.
And where can we read more of your stuff?
So I have a blog. It's called workinghardinit.wordpress.com, and there you can find all my musings on technology.
And you have also a Twitter account.
A Twitter account, it's the same. It's at workinghardinit.
Okay, I will thank you for the nice talk we had, and we will see each other at the E2E conference.
Absolutely, I look forward to that.
Okay.
Thank you, Carsten.